Okay. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu, everyone. Inshallah, today we are going to be discussing a new name in the six Ismi Azam, the six candidates or six lights emanating from the meaning of Ismi Azam, the name of Al-Hakam. Again, the six names are Fard, Hayy, Qayyum, Hakam, Adl, Quddus. We have covered, Alhamdulillah, in the past few weeks, Al-Quddus, and we have covered Al-Adl in the previous couple of weeks after that. And now, inshallah, we will start the name of Al-Hakam. And, you know, and some of these meanings will be close to each other. And I would like, inshallah, my the speakers and the audience too, whoever has input, please feel free to join and help the discussion, inshallah. So Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Again, the 30th Flash is what we will be covering. Today we had a few last minute changes to the speaker lineup. I think probably Dr. Turner or Brother Fatih won't be able to join us. I think we have quickly recruited our very beloved Harun Pirmabi and Baykar Yurdakul so inshallah we will have that discussion with them. But again, I would like to invite whoever has a contribution to help us out either through chat or inshallah I'll try to see whoever is raising their hands and inshallah you can contribute. So again, we are in the 30th flash. This is the third section of it. And again, it starts with a verse, with an ayah from the Quran, and it's actually expounding and explaining, making tafsir of this verse. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Ud'u ila sabil rabbika bil hikmah. Invite all to the way of your sustainer with wisdom. I guess wisdom here is probably emphasized, and basically this is Al-Hikmah and Al-Hakam, I think are related roots. And inshallah we will go also into the details. I mean, not too detailed because there's a text explains it some as well, but in the past few weeks we also went into the meanings, like the word meanings of these divine names versus how they're manifested in the world. We have seen that clearly on name of Al-Quddus, that although one of its meanings is actually, it can be translated as the holy, but the manifestation of it on the earth were in form of cleanliness, in form of balance. I think we will see similar line of thought here as well with name of Al-Hakam, because I have seen multiple translations of it. So I'll read this part and I'll ask actually a question. This is the intro of this. Is that Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. One manifestation of the divine name of Sapient Al-Hakam, which is the greatest name or one of the six lights of the greatest name, Ism Azam, and the fine point of the above verse, the verse we just mentioned, appeared to me in the month of Ramadan while in Eskişehir prison. This third point consists of 5 matters and forms only an allusion to it. It was written in haste and has remained in its original form. So again, this, like the other Ism Azam recitals, this was written in the Eskişehir prison, and basically it has 5 matters. I mean, this will be unlike the previous 2, this is actually a bit longer. The others are like about 2 pages long each in the original text. This is about like 8 or so. So indeed, it's a bit longer, and it will probably take a few more weeks to cover the whole thing. But in any case, I would like to first get maybe some initial thoughts from our speakers, in the sense that, you know, um, this ayah, this verse, its relation to name Al-Hakam, and the translation of it as sapient, which is close to, I guess, wise, like someone who does things in a wise and knowingly manner, but also, there is the wisdom, but there is Hakam, there's a part of it around judging, right? Because um, the word hakam, in some languages they're even used as like referee and things like that. But in some translations, it is translated as the judge. So from that point of view, and from this verse and this name and translation of sapient, the sapient, um, maybe we can start a small discussion here. I don't want to go deeper before we go into the text, but inshallah, this will be maybe a nice um, initial attempt to understand the name itself. Um, Harun abi, would you like to um, give your thoughts on that?
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
Thank you for inviting. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I like saying so based on different time zones. This is beautiful, talking about beautiful names of the Creator, Allah. It's beautiful itself. And it's very rewarding in the first place. When Ömer Faruk informed me, about joining this session, I'm kind of the least informed among you. So I felt the need to take a look at this name. Ustad Nursi's writing once again from beginning to the end. It was really revealing itself to me with different meanings that I didn't have before. As you asked, Mustafa, maybe the initial understanding is very important. Personally, to my life, what I learned, until now is don't try to trap any meaning to, to a translation, to a wording.
Yeah.
Even don't criticize it. It's not easy to translate these texts. So I understand, sapient is kind of, as you said, wise in meaning. We could use other words, that's fine. But overall, I think what we need to understand is what this treatise, especially this, third name, really, from Ustad Nursi's perspective, what he tries to tell us. So shortly, I'm not interested in translations. I'm not interested in, special wordings, and I'm not catchy on, this is better translation, this and that, definitely. This is first thing. Secondly, I think there's a nice clue from the beginning of any of these names of Allah, starting with Quddus, Adl, and now Hakam. It is interesting. Ustad Nursi gives us two paths to understand. One is he's saying that this could be Ismi Azam, like one of the greatest names. So this is one path to take a look at them individually. And he also offers, I think, the other more interesting path, which is perceive each of these greatest names as a part of a whole picture. I think this is more relevant, at least to my understanding. So once again, when I look at your slide, this beautiful mountainous view, with snow on it. So this is a picture. And in this picture, we can really concentrate on harshness of this weather, which would take us some climate of the names of Allah. But we could also concentrate on this blue sky. It's another dimension. It's another aspect of these beautiful names' reflection. So I can't really say that, this mountainous picture is on the blue side, or I can't say it's on the harsh mountainous side. So it's the whole picture. And as a human, I think it's our job to really feel the names Esmail Husna as a whole picture, to make sense of it all together. And I think this is what Ustad Nursi is saying. It's one of the six aspects, right? His description is one of the six aspects of Ismi Azam. So when we look at Al-Hakam as one of the 6. How is it named here? Just to see.
One of the 6 lights of the greatest.
Yeah, one of the 6 lights. Yeah, that's the wording. So I want to take this meaning, one of the 6 lights of it, because when I read it, I can clearly see these are interwoven. These are Esmail Husna are like threads. And with these threads, we are weaving pictures. The creation is weaved by the threads of Esmail Husna. And if we are talking about some main or thicker threads, so these thicker threads actually are the Ismi Azam, to put it into the context. So that's kind of an introduction from my side, not to keep it long.
Yeah, interesting. When you said that also with the wording of 6 lights, it also reminded me like, the 7 colors of rainbow form the sunlight, right? I mean,
Right.
They contribute to it, but at the end of the day, the sunlight shines out during those combination of those. So, Jazakallah khair. It was really a good way to think about this. I agree. Baikar Abi, I would like to also turn to you again about the name, some sort of like an initial maybe understanding that you think we should get when we are understanding this name of Al-Hakam, right? Because we have the name of Al-Hakim, right? Which is also this all wise. And there is this Al-Hakam. And we also have, if we look at the justice part of it, we have the name Al-Adl, we just covered last week. So from that point of view, can I get your thoughts on like this name of Al-Hakam? And again, we will go deeper into the text to understand it deeper, but your initial thoughts on this name and the connection of it to the wisdom and the name Sapient that is chosen as a translation.
Assalamu alaikum. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajmain. It's great to be with you again. I was away for a while and I didn't have a chance to follow up weekly sessions. Missed most of them. So Alhamdulillah, we are together again. Kind of you just said what I was going to say, because I feel like it's some of the time just focusing on certain translations could be limiting. So I don't want to limit the whole chapters to a few words, but that was my question too. If anyone can help us, I will appreciate. What's the difference, especially with the name Hakim? When I try to say all wise, I usually use the name Al-Hakim. So this Al-Hakam, how it's different than Al-Hakim, I'm not sure about it. Maybe during the chapter we can articulate more about it. For now, it's also interesting that Ustad takes this ayah, which is about invitation to Allah's way, and it should be also with wisdom. So that's a very interesting start for me. I'm still in processing my thoughts. I'm not sure about how exactly those meanings are different from each other. Maybe inshallah I will reflect more.
And as we read the text, inshallah, maybe there could be some keywords to take out from there that can help us. But yeah, I sincerely also asked that question because they are close meanings, sounds like. But yeah, inshallah, yeah. Okay, maybe then I can go into the text and we can start, inshallah.
Mustafa, maybe before you switch also, I want to say one more thing,
Sure.
Once again, this is my understanding from pondering. If you ask me, we promised not to, reduce the meanings to a couple of words. But one thing that I understood from relating Quddus, Adl, and Hakem, we can make use of this image that you have So when we look at this image, there are pixels, right? Technically. So this image is composed of pixels, very small dots. And these small dots are organized in the place so that we see this beautiful picture. So this organization aspect is related with Al-Quddus, to my understanding. And there's an aspect ratio of this picture. So it is in the clear resolution. If you make this picture bigger, most likely these pixels maybe will not be enough to render a bright, vibrant, shining picture. So this aspect ratio is related with the balance, which is about Al-Adl, to connect. And where is Al-Hakam? Al-Hakam is with the meaning, what I understand from the text. So you can see this picture is beautiful. You can see this is pretty well organized, but another huge dimension is what do you understand from this picture? So this understanding is related with Al-Hakam, this to my understanding.
Nice. I mean, thank you for also connecting that back to the other two names that we discussed. But that's beautiful, mashallah. Thank you. All right, so then I'll start reading, and inshallah the first matter, and we can, probably hopefully expound further into this. And again, I invite our attendees to use chat functionality to help us as well. Okay, we've read this part. Again, it's 5 matters. Inshallah, today we will try to cover the first matter. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. First matter. As is indicated in the 10th word. 10th word is about afterlife. It's about the proof of afterlife. The greatest manifestation of the divine name of Al-Hakam, Sapient, has made the universe like a book, in every page of which hundreds of books have been written, and in every line of which hundreds of pages have been included, and in every word of which are hundreds of lines, and in each letter of which are 100 words, and in every point of which is found a short index of the book. The book's pages and lines, down to the very points, show its inscriber and writer with such clarity that that book of the universe testifies to and proves the existence and unity of its scribe to a degree far greater than it shows its own existence. For if a single letter shows its own existence to the extent of a letter, it shows its scribe to the extent of a line. One manifestation of the divine name of Sapient and Hakam, which is a greatest name. Oh, sorry, I went back. So I'll read this sentence and then go and read the correct one. For if a single letter shows its own existence to the extent of a letter, it shows its scribe to the extent of a line. Yes, one page of this mighty book is the face of the earth. One page of this mighty book of the universe is the face of the earth. Books to the number of the plant and animal species are to be observed on this page in the spring, one within the other, together at the same time, without error, in the most perfect form. A single line of the page is a garden. We see that written on this line are well-composed odes to the number of flowers, trees, and animals, together, one within the other, without error. One word of the line is a tree, which has opened its blossom and put forth its leaves in order to produce its fruit. This word consists of meaningful passages lauding and praising the all-glorious Sapient One to the number of orderly, well-proportioned, adorned leaves, flowers, and fruits. It is as though, like all trees, this tree is a well-composed ode singing the praises of its inscriber. It is also as if the all-glorious Sapient One wants to look with thousands of eyes on his wonderful antique works displayed in the exhibition of the earth. And it is as if the bejeweled gifts, decorations, and uniforms given to the tree by that paternal monarch have been given such adorned, well-proportioned, orderly, meaningful, and wise forms in order to present them to his view in the spring, his particular festival and parade, that each of its flowers and fruits testifies in numerous ways and with many evidences, one within the other, to its inscriber's existence and names. For example, in all its blossoms and fruits is a balance. The balance is within an order, and the order is within an ordering and balancing which is being constantly renewed. The ordering and balancing is within an art and adornment, and the adornment and art are within meaningful sense and wise tastes. Thus, each flower points to the all-glorious sapient one to the number of the tree's blossoms. And in the tree, which is a word, the point of a seed in a fruit, which is like a letter, is a small coffer containing the index and program of the whole tree, and so on. To continue the same analogy, through the manifestation of the name of sapient and wise, Al-Hakam and Al-Hakim, all the lines and pages of the book of the universe, and not only its lines, but all its words, letters, and points, have been made as miracles, so that if all causes were to gather together, they could not make the like of a single point, nor could they dispute it. Yes, since each of the creational signs of this mighty Quran of the universe displays miracles to the number of points and letters of those signs, in no way could confuse chance, blind force, aimless, anarchic, unconscious nature interfere in that wise, percipient, particular balance and most sensitive order. If they had interfered, some traces of confusion would certainly have been apparent, whereas no disorder of any sort is to be seen anywhere. Okay, this was the text, the first matter. It's been a few pages, of course, but I wanted to read through it all, and then we can inshallah come back to it. But I'll first say, I guess, a few keywords that jumped out to me was pretty much, like an order, a balancing, things being perfectly created one within the other, right? And again, we have seen that word one within the other, one within the other. So those things have been jumping out to me as I was reading this. Now also before this. But how should we understand this, like describe the universe as this book with these intricacies, one within the other, and how can we see the name of Al-Hakam manifested in this? I don't know, Baykar, would you like to start?
It was a long part, and it's hard to comprehend each and every word here. I guess we need to go over one by one. But the first things that came to my mind was one of them was this example at the very end, which makes a great impact on my understanding of the existence. Ustad talks about a letter and the inscriber. Most of the time we look at the things around us in the universe, the existence, and we try to make sense about them. And they're beautiful, they're orderly, they're colorful, they're this and that. We have different feelings and understandings and experiences about them. But more importantly, Ustad opens our eyes or gives the perspective or understanding that it is telling more about the doer, the one who has impact on that, the one who creates it, the one who makes it. So yes, that is very true. When we look at the thing, the second step always, after our simple observation or experience or tasting or testing a thing, it's always about the doer. We just jump to the second level. This is a very natural, this is a very normal, regular process for us, for human beings. We always analyze things or evaluate things according to the doer. Who did this? For example, same picture, right? Or different pictures drawn in different levels. If it is made by a grade, second grade student, you will evaluate this accordingly. And if it is done by a great artist, you will evaluate it in different ways. So even our approach, our evaluation is according to the doer, not the art itself or the product itself. The doer is most of the time more important than the product itself. So while we don't think about this when we are looking into the existence, we always just focus on the attributes, the names, the qualifications that we see out there. Oh, this is beautiful, this is nice, this is tasty, this is delicious, this is colorful, this is that. But why we don't jump to the second step immediately? This is very natural to the human being. We don't even need to push ourselves. We don't need to really make it like an custom for ourselves, but it is there. It is very natural. You always wonder about it. So to think about this simple example is very helpful to my own understanding. So a letter A is a letter A, but if somebody has written it by his handwriting, they can even go into psychological analysis about that person's attitude and his state of mind, and etc. They can talk a lot, or we can say a lot of things like he knows the Latin alphabet, or he knows Arabic alphabet, or I don't know, his handwriting is nice because he studied, he's a good hattat, or scriber. Kind of, we can jump to the second step and talk a lot about that person from that simple letter. So this was my first reflection on this part. Inshallah, I can talk more after Harun Abi.
Yeah, but it's great indeed. I mean, like the way your point about like interpreting or evaluating a piece of art by its artist is actually right. I mean, it's very interesting thought as well. Like you also, I guess, I mean, as an example, right? I mean, when you look at, as you said, like a second grader, I think you kind of can get like, okay, this is why she did this in that way, and this is that, and she's limited in her hand skills to a level that she couldn't, convey this much detail. But if you look at if you look at an artwork by a famous painter, even if there is no a detail at a certain place, you still look for wisdoms, right? Why did he not include that detail? Oh, it was because he was influenced by this postmodern art thing, or we are looking into like hikmah, or the wisdoms behind why he might have done it. We don't doubt his skills. Then we think like how he might have done this, like why he might have done this. Then we try to find wisdoms behind everything he has done. But because that we know that artist is very skillful, maybe we could probably get this expanded to the universe in the sense that, since we know that the artist of this universe is infinitely skillful, we can look into all the bits of wisdoms in every single thing that has been occurring. And before I switch to Harun Abi, there is a message on the chat as well from Brother Mehmet. He says the hikmah that the angels didn't understand, the wisdom that the angels didn't understand from the creation of Adam in the first place is the same hikmah, the same wisdom that we are talking about. So we need to try to and read the wisdoms behind everything we see and or read. In addition to this, the wisdom for us is to understand the greatest tailor's actions on us. I guess he's referring to the tailor example where the tailor, a skilled tailor, um, uses utilizes with some with some wage some poor man and shows his skills on that person, and that poor man doesn't really have any um, right to speak up against because he's getting his wage, and it is the artwork of that tailor. So I think he's referring to that hikmah. But yeah, thanks for that. So Harun abi, again about this example of the book and the letter and inscriptions one within the other. Would you like to talk some about this example and what it should mean to us?
Uh, thanks to Biker Abi bringing our, attention to the relationship between letter and the creator, or letter and the inscriber. For the example here, I agree, and I concur. On this. Here the message is. Starting with the book example, and from the beginning, my understanding with Hakem is about the meaning, as a whole. So part of the reason I understand Hakem with respect to meaning is also this book analogy. For instance, when we look at the name Adl, it was not like that. It was, for instance, giving city, inside city there is a palace, or inside a palace there is a universe. So it was related with scale, really, in name Adl. But here, the relation is meaning. All the example here, letter, word, statement, sentence, book. So these are all meaning related. So in other words, these are all reading related stuff. So we are urged to read. It's like the first command, like of Islam, we can say read in the name of Allah. So we can see it clearly here. So the name Hakem implies reading. So, and even this is in line with the starting verse, right? It says, call to the way of Allah by hikmah, by wisdom. Why? Because, it's kind of mirror, right? Mirror-like. The creator Allah calls us each time with his creation. What does he call? He calls us to read. He calls us to understand. So that's the point, Hakem name requires understanding the creation in the first place as a book, from the letter to the book scale. Just everything is to be read. Just read it, read and understand. That's the job, that's the way to understand Al-Hakam. The more we read the book of universe, the more we understand the name Hakem in the first place. This is my understanding.
No, this is great. Yeah, I was actually also wondering, right, like connecting to the palace example that was also one within the other, but it was pretty revealing what you have told about. One is about scale, have large and small, but this and maybe art in that way, or the balance, but in this case it's more about the meaning, and the larger also has meaning, the smaller, or there is still one within the other, but each one of them has a meaning of its own that it can
Right.
convey.
We need to read
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Looks like.
Yeah. Great. We also have Fatabi joining us. He was one of our original speakers as well. So again, we are trying to understand the name of Al-Hakam. And one question that I asked in the beginning was how we can, distinguish this from the name of Al-Hakim, because they seem to be related from meaning wise, and also I guess how we can see its difference from this text. And we started reading. So if there are any thoughts and insights, please feel free to speak up as well whenever you feel like to. All right, so in the second page, what we see is that, again, explaining that book within the other, we see that, I'll read this paragraph a little bit. Yes, one page of this mighty book is the face of the earth. Books to the number of the plant and animal species are to be observed on this page in the spring, one within the other, together at the same time, without error, in the most perfect form. And I think these are probably some attributes that we can take away, some manifestations of Allah's names, I guess, right? So I'll read this part again. Yes, one page of this mighty book is the face of the earth. Books to the number of the plant and animal species are to be observed on this page in the spring, one within the other, together at the same time, without error, in the most perfect form. A single line of the page is a garden. We see that written on this line are well-composed odes to the number of flowers. I think Nabi's comment about a written piece, right? An ode is like a poem. So we see that written on this line are well-composed odes to the number of flowers, trees, and animals together, one within the other, without error. Again, we had this together, without error, one within the other. So some of these things are repeating. One word of the line is a tree which has opened its blossom and put forth its leaves in order to produce its fruit. This word consists of meaningful passages. Meaningful passages. I think Harun is point of meaningful passage. It's a written piece. This word consists of meaningful passages, lauding and praising the all-glorious sapient one to the number of orderly, well-proportioned, adorned leaves, flowers, and fruits. It is as though, like all trees, this tree is a well-composed ode, singing the praises of its inscriber.
For example, right at this point, you see how Ustad Nursi brings all three names together, I think, at the last statement that you read. Orderly, I catch it as name Kuddus. Well-proportioned, it's like Al-Adl. And, meaningful, it's with Hakam. So it's very woven, into each other. It's not just in this passage he is talking about Al-Hakam. He is bringing all the background to the table.
Yeah, I guess adorned also, right? I mean, because adorning should have a meaning. Is that how should we understand? Like,
right, this is how I catch it actually. Yeah, it's serving to the meaning.
I see. Yeah. So, yeah. So on the next page, and this is also, I think, interesting and goes. I mean, it could be a section of its own, right? We could have sessions on like on this sentence alone, I guess. But I'll read it. It is
even before switching that.
Yes.
Maybe Baykar Abi wants to talk about this error thing. I'm sure, including myself, we might question how can we make sure that everything is error prone. How do we judge that? I'm sure at least
without error
is having difficulty to confirm that this book of creation is without error. So this is a very bold statement. Maybe if we want to discuss a little bit about this error.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, like because right, I mean, from the human perspective, we can, and we sometimes, I guess, selectively based on our by psychology, I guess we selectively pick out what we can interpret as errors, but like how should we understand this, I guess, these statements that things are without error. Like Rabi, would you like to explain? And there are also these things, right, that we see, like two-headed animals or something that are sometimes that happens, and all things like that. It could be seen as an error. So how should we understand this meaning of without error?
I don't know if I have a simple answer for that, but I just wanna talk about the first statement that Harun Abi made. Again, he reminded us the first command of the Quran, which is read. So that's very meaningful for me, because again, if we really think about that order, there was no revealed verse to the Prophet ﷺ at the time. There was no book in his hand. There's no verses of the Quran, but he's commanded to read. So the interpretation of Ustad here, talking about the whole universe as a book and seeing all the signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as ayat, is very accurate in that sense. And we all know this simple idiom, in English, saying that the actions speak louder than words. Then we can conclude that if we really can read the verses in the universe, ayat in the universe, then we don't even have any hesitation about the owner or the doer or the actor or the creator. But now we're just trying to understand what he tells us. Are we interpreting them correctly? Are we really, making meaning out of it? So we start talk about certain things here. If we go over an analogy, let's say we are hosted by a friend for the first time, and when we enter the house, everywhere is clean and neat, and all the living room, the dining room is organized in a certain way, in a way that you can dine, or you can comfortably sit and see each other. And even the coffee table and the cloth over that is nicely woven and nicely settled around you. Now you start thinking out, and you're served the best food. Now you just think about your relation with that person, and how hospitable he is, how neat and clean they are, and how how a great cook they are, or etc., etc. You just start knowing that person more and more. You don't have now any doubt about, let's say, the host is at the upstairs and tells you, oh, just come in and have a seat, and I will be with you soon. Now you don't have any doubt about the host, right? You just try to more know the host more and more. So that just reminded me, an atheist replying to a question. They asked him, if you found out when you went to the other world there's a God, what would you tell him? He says, oh, why did you play hide and seek with me? So this is the atheist reply. But this is not an excuse we can see, obviously. Allah doesn't play hide and seek. On the contrary, he is kind of constantly speaking to us. So the whole universe is a speech of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala introducing him to us. So each and every detail should be pay a great attention, because there could be a lot of meanings, behind it. So each and every expression, each and every detail in the universe should be read very carefully. And may Allah protect us if we make any mistake in this interpretation. It can take us to a whole different conclusion. But in reality, if you read it with the interpretation of Quran, with the help of Quran, we can see that it introduces the doer, the creator, clearly, obviously there's no doubt about his names and attributes in that sense. So now maybe we can go on, as you said, to the details that Ustad told here, one by one, and little bit, try to understand each one of them, how it is introducing us the Hakam, Al-Hakam.
I think wonderful explanation by Karabi. Thank you very much. It's matter of reading problem. What I understand from what you say, it's not the real error existing, but it's the reading problem from our side. So since this Hakem is related with meaning, if we cannot read the meaning, it doesn't mean that meaning does not exist. It means that we cannot make sense of it. And if I can't make sense of it, I cannot claim that it is meaningless, which means error, it has error here.
Yeah.
One addition is that that came to my mind, the very first statement made in the ayah, in the beginning, invite to the way of your sustainer with wisdom. So this is actually not just an order. In parentheses, they add all kind of this, I don't know. I hope this is not, really spoiling the meaning of the words. I understand, of course, everybody should know about the sustainer, but when we say all, it's kind of we're pushing everybody to this way, way of Islam. But no, when it says invite to the way of your sustainer with wisdom, it's more like already the whole universe is doing this. So go with the flow. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala really not pushing us to obey him, to worship him, but he is calling us nicely like that host, right? With wisdom. So he's showing the ayat to us and leaves the decision to us. So go try to understand, try to know me, try to come near me. So he's inviting us. He's not really, this is a call. This is not a, pushing, forcing, or and just, hurting. Yeah. So the ayah is also going with the flow, it's kind of an interpretation of the whole universe. It's not a forceful,
I think, contrary
to the way of Islam or something like that.
Yeah. And of course, there's an ayah, but right, there's no coercion in religion. To confirm your point, I guess. That's great. Yeah, Jazakallah. One brother, Muhammad Ali, in the chat wrote nicely, this hikmah that we're talking remind me of a Persian carpet. When we zoom in on a Persian carpet, there will be only bunch of knots, which unclear color pattern, as if there were no purposes behind these knots. But when we zoom out and try to look the whole figure of the Persian carpet, we'll soon realize the beauty of it. Sometimes people see life as random occurrences, some good moments, some bad moments, due to your inability to see purposes behind the occurrence. In fact, Allah creates everything good with His wisdom. Only our mind cannot understand sometimes. So I think this is beautifully explains how Nabi's point as well about looking at the big picture to see the wisdom. And I think, we might have discussed in the past, right, the 11th word about looking at getting lost on the material details of something versus looking at the big picture to get the meaning. There is definitely a way to get the meaning, looking at the bigger picture, looking at the meaning behind what we see. I'll go one page further.
One thing.
Oh, go ahead, Fatah. Welcome.
while I was reading this, I mean, there are other verses which talks about hikmah in Quran, but Ustad here starts with the verse "Ud'u ila sabil rabbika bil hikmah." I mean, invite to the way of your sustainer with wisdom.
Yeah.
I mean, living in, most of us who live in non-Muslim societies, we know that like giving dawah is something very important, and this verse is about giving dawah too. And like after that, I mean, he starts with the wisdom in the universe. And when I think about that, why did he start with the universe? I mean, a lot of that was discussed until now, but just to add some points.
Sure.
The start of 19th word, Ustad mentions that there are three great universal things which make us known our sustainer. One is the book of universe, the other is the prophets, and the other is the Quran. I mean, here he starts with showing us the wisdom in the universe. And the thing about the universe, like it is one of the three, is every one of us live in the universe. And it doesn't require any special additional knowledge to see the wisdom we see around us. Even like when you explain the things happening in the universe, even the kids can relate to that. I mean, like here you are painting this painting, so somebody has to do the painting, has to give color to the trees, give shape to the trees. I mean, when you tell that to 4 or 5 years old kid, even they relate to that. So when giving dawah, this is a very good method. To understand Quran, I mean, I'm not saying they are not important. Hasha, I'm not saying that, but to understand Quran, you need special education. To know about Prophet, you need special education. I mean, read his life and etc. But every one of us, every human being, like we are in this universe and we see the manifestation of wisdom, rahmah, all the Allah's names from this universe. We are kind of like bombarded of those manifestations.
Yeah. Jazakallah khair. Indeed, it's a very good point, right? I mean, that's connecting to this ayah, like with wisdom, and then the rest of the text doesn't really just tell us, okay, you should be this wise. You know it. And I guess if I read this ayah and then thought about like how would one explain this, maybe the thought would be, you know, the methodology of giving dawah or talking about Islam or Allah to people. But then what we see in the text, right? What we see as a explanation of this verse, I guess Ustad Nursi goes directly into the into the universe is wisdom and explaining that. But that should probably give us a clue, as you said, how we should, like first we should try to understand the universe and we should convey that in the universe. Inshallah. Okay. So we have a hand up. But I think couldn't unmute. So, but yeah, we can come to Brother Mustafa later if he can unmute himself after that. Oh, alaikum salam. Great, Brother Mustafa.
Yeah, this is very important and meaningful topic to understand as it is. What came to in my mind, what I imagined while reading this section, I imagined a rose one within one other, like that. It gets a form. Here, and remember the letter of Yasin, containing in some where we see containing all Yasin is written in one letter. That means one letter having, as if having all Yasin, that 83 verses. In this understanding, when we read the first paragraph as it is, meanings in meanings, full of meanings, and continuing. Yes, here one Allah Almighty wants to see his art within thousands of eyes. Isn't it?
Dozens part, right?
Continuously, his art's evidences to his existence, to his unique art and arts. At first, he wants to observe his art and the let's say trees, let's say flowers, fruits, testifies his existence. This is very came to me very meaningful. And then this is very important, Mesnevi Nuriye, in Mesnevi Nuriye, Allah is Kamil-i Mutlaktır. Allahu Ekber. Kemal sahibi.
All
Anyway.
perfect. I mean, absolutely perfect, right? I mean,
absolute
perfection. It's at absolute perfection, pretty much.
Allah Kamil-i Mutlak olduğu için muhabbete lizatihi mahfuftur. Elhamdülillah. Lizatihi mahfuftur. Allah is the perfect, has
absolute perfection.
Perfection.
And deserves to be loved.
He is not in his because of doing his. Then when we consider these things together, and these meanings are leading us to firstly open our eyes, minds, hearts, and leading also us to reach ehli gönül, ehli keramet. To reach to the ehli keramet, because it is showing us the things, truth over the veil. Then trying to us to look under the veils, the truth, the purify the truth.
Yes,
Thank you.
I see. Jazakallah khair. Thank you very much, Brother Mustafa. I mean, indeed, and I was going to actually come to this point as well about the, things one within the other. It is as if, it is this paragraph, right, about as if the all-glorious Sapient one, Al-Hakam, he wants to look with thousands of eyes on his wonderful art, antique works displayed in the exhibition of the earth. And one thought, I thought of it as like, since things are within the other, sometimes the human eyes or ourselves, the people who are on this earth might not be able to catch everything, because some of them are so minute and tiny. Some of them we cannot ever reach with our own understanding. They are so, they maybe they are in the subatomic scale that we cannot even guess. In certain places and the ends of the universe we cannot even see. But is all the parts are meaningful and written in a wise manner. It is as if it's just not for humans, but God Himself would like to see His works as well. So this indeed a great meaning. And seeing this, as you pointed out, helps us open up the meanings and open up our hearts to these, because I think we feel the presence of Allah wherever we go. We are running over time though. About this point or about the rest of this, Harun abi, Baykar abi, Fatih abi, any final thoughts you would like to share? Maybe Baykar abi, will start with you and then go Harun abi.
Thank you to brothers for the conclusion part. Yeah, this was just an introduction to Al-Hakam. Inshallah, in the following weeks, we'll find a chance to articulate more on the meaning. That was a great conclusion. Thank you.
Harun abi?
It was a very nice pondering session. Thank you, all of you, Baykar abi, Fatih abi. And the starting verse is, again, maybe the most remarkable, suggesting us to call, call people or just convey your message, whatever, by wisdom or by hikmah. So this is something to think about, maybe through the week, through the month, if not through the year,
Yeah, it can take a few weeks for sure. The 5 matters, and this was the smallest of them. So, inshallah. But Jazakallah khair. Thank you very much for all who joined, either through speaking or through chat or through listening to us on Zoom or on YouTube. Inshallah, we'll be back next week with another session on the same name, Al-Hakam. Inshallah, we'll start the second matter of the same treatise. Again, thank you very much all. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين. الفاتحة. Thanks again. Bye-bye.